everyone. My name is Mithun Prabhu. I'm an IT professional and avid travel photographer myself. Most of you would know me. And I'm with my pleasure, along with Honeycomb, I want to introduce Mr. Deepak Samani, who is based out of Leicester in the United Kingdom. And he's with us in a conversation about travel photography. Welcome, Deepak.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from my end. And I think it's good evening for you guys, right, Mithun?
Absolutely. So we have people from everywhere who will listen to the conversation. So it will be a morning, afternoon, evening, and night also, probably in some places. Yes.
Super. So we have a summer heat wave here. It's 32 degrees and I'm sweating like crazy. It's unusual for us, but it's super warm today.
Right. And I think I should mention that Deepak is a fantastic travel photographer. I myself have traveled with him in multiple occasions in the past. In addition to being a photographer, he's an electrical engineer by his profession. And let me tell you that like anybody from the UK, his sense of humor is absolutely fantastic.
Right? Yeah, you'll have to excuse my interruptions, infrequent interruptions, but that's just the way it is, guys.
So we would love to hear them as well, Deepak. So having said that, Deepak, with your permission, shall we start the conversation?
Sure, let's do it.
Great. So Deepak, just wanted to know, how did you come to love photography? Were there any early influences in your life as to how you got into this field?
Okay, so my interest in photography really go back about 3 decades. When I got my first part-time job as a student, when I got my first pay packet, I went and bought a Praktica MTL3 35 millimeter camera. Yeah, that is going back in time to 1983. Now I've revealed my age to all the young ladies there listening. Oh boy, I'm not in the running anymore. So that's that really sort of started it all. I was never really for anything else. I said, I want a 35 millimeter and I'm going to go and buy what I can afford at the time. And it was my pride and joy for many, many, many years. And then the whole thing escalated. Oh, tumhare paas camera hai. Sorry, guys, I'm going to interject and speak a bit of Hindi because I don't get a chance very often. So I hope that's okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Is that okay, Mithun?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it would be, तुम्हारे पास कैमरा है, तुम फोटो लो, ये करो, वो करो, birthday पे आओ, शादी पे आओ. And that really how it started. And then as I started traveling a little bit more, firstly in the UK, and then after graduating, I had many opportunities to travel abroad and so on. And really, that's how the whole thing kicked off. And for me, it was a very liberating thing, actually, doing photography in those early days, and gave me a lot of joy.
And I think, very few people, Deepak, I would like to tell this to the audience, especially the young, souls who are probably listening to us, so those people who have graduated from the film days, the rolls and, the analog cameras, like we used to say, I think they are the ones who have developed a lot of discipline into this photography field. The fact that there was no absolute leeway available to click multiple, compositions, would not know how an output will look like unlike today's age where, with every click you have, you can bracket, you can see how it is looking, at least on a viewfinder level. So I think those people who have come, including my mentor, Mr. Anand Sharan, he used to say, that, the way the film cameras were and the discipline that people brought in, if they bring into the digital world, the world will be a different place, especially in the aspiring photographers. I don't know what you think about it.
Oh, I absolutely agree, Mithun. I mean, I still treat my photography, and I absolutely ration my efforts, my time. I don't want to come home from a trip with 3,000 shots and then having to download all of those, have the pain of managing them and searching them out. The idea is to be in the field, get it right, and still treat as if you only have 2 rolls of 36 if you are lucky. Right. And that mentality, I'm an old boy as it's visible from my appearance. That mentality stays and it never goes away, Mithun.
Yeah, so I think you are too modest to say you are an old boy, but young at heart. So, I think.
Yeah. So, I think we've had many fun times, Mithun.
Absolutely. Great. So moving on. So Deepak, would you call yourself just a travel photographer, as a specialist, or do you also practice any other genres of photography?
For me, really, travel really is a culmination, largely for me, 3 main aspects coming to fore if I talk about travel photography from my perspective. One is street, or people, call it what you like. The second one is landscape, which I think is what a lot of people associate travel photography with. And because of my love for India and everything Indian, I think architecture absolutely plays a very big part with our fantastic heritage that we have in India. Broad brush, you can say travel, but that's what I really would like to treat it as. So I'm very happy doing all 3 at any time as the opportunity arises for me. I also do event photography commercially in the UK, and I also do industrial product photography because I work in that business. So now and then, but that is really very seldom.
Great. So good to know about other things that you also do, because I'm sure with your profession and with you doing a lot of things, juggling between your primary professional life and the passion for photography, you really need to bring in a lot of time and just justify for yourself
yes.
the work that you do. Great. So what inspires you, Deepak, to keep pursuing photography? Because that's not your primary job or primary field, right?
No, but it's for me, the answer is really very straightforward. It brings me a sense of purpose, Mithun, and it provides me with a lot of happiness. And most importantly, it keeps me straight and out of mischief. It keeps me sane. I can focus. I can just get on with it. When I'm at home, there are no other distractions. I can just focus on it. I'm in a fortunate position to be able to do that. And as I said earlier, the most important thing for me is I love people, and I especially love India. Having lived in Thane, Mumbai, Maharashtra for a few years, I'm pretty good as a Guju boy in conversing in Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, a little bit of Punjabi, and the interaction then, especially in India, comes very naturally to me with people. So I love that personal contact. It's more about the contact than about, taking a picture of somebody just sat there from a distance, taking a candid shot. I'd rather really approach people, but we'll talk about that hopefully if time permits later on. The other thing is having an electrical engineering background, I really am what I'd like to call myself a bit of a photon merchant. I really like to understand what's actually happening at the sensor level, why we do what we do, how we do it, and put it this way, that does float my boat quite a bit.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the most critical things that you mentioned for a lot of people that probably are listening to us. It's not about, it's easy to probably go ahead and click the shutter button and say, oh, you know what, I have taken a picture, which is what most of the people around the world who are not photographers, who have a cell phone today in their hands, think. So it's just a click of a button. So what we call as parachute photographers. So drop at one location, click, move on, move to the next location, click again, move on, kind of stuff. So, so you have a lot of tick in the boxes, like they say, but, you really haven't studied anything. You really haven't experienced anything. And, that's something as as a photographer, as a person who can document things, I think that's very critical. So
Uh,
that's good to hear.
I absolutely agree with you, Mithun. And, especially when you are with Gujaratis, the focus is on only one thing.
Food.
જમવામાં શું છે? આપણે જોઈ લીધું, હવે ચાલો આપણે જમવા જઈએ. Yeah, so that is the focus.
So for all those people who do not understand Gujarati, do you want to translate that? It's very funny.
Oh, yeah. It's basically, we are here. We've taken a picture, selfie ho gaya. Piche kya hai, pata nahi. Jo hai, wo theek hai. But now it's time to say, what's for lunch? Or if we've been out in the afternoon, what's for tea and dinner tonight? Photography is not important.
Yeah, so I would say that, although you said it in a lighter vein, but I would say that, that's, I think, across the world, that, irrespective of the countries or, the nationalities that we belong to, I think, food is a very critical component in our lives. So, I think in addition to the photography or, any primary profession that we do, of course, that's something that we look forward to. So I'm sure.
Yes, but I agree. But, if you really want to have that endeavor of getting into photography, then I think it's important to basically just say, okay, it's okay if I don't have a meal, if I don't have something, as long as I'm hydrated and I'm not feeling unwell, I'll make do without food and water,
Right.
for a while. But, let's do something different, because I think there is a level of satisfaction in doing something different occasionally.
Absolutely. So moving on, Deepak, how do you feel when your work is viewed and appreciated by a large audience?
Oh, that's a very tricky question for me, Mithun. I'm really not into sort of showing my work at such a great extent. I photograph really for self-fulfillment. For me, it's a form of happiness, meditation, satisfaction, call it what you like. Really, if I get good feedback from guys like you on social media, then it makes me happy. But really, for me, it's a self-fulfilling event. Photography is
Right.
in all aspects, whether I'm out in the field, or I'm actually trying to understand the technology behind it, or I'm doing any post-processing. It's a form of meditation for me, Mithun.
Absolutely. And who doesn't like appreciation, right? So I'm sure, if something comes back as a...
Absolutely, Mithun. Yeah.
Great. So Deepak, tell us about how often do you practice, travel photography? I know travel means you need to plan, you need to go. But can I also ask you, despite of your busy schedules, that you are at work and you are at, in general in your life, personal and professional life, do you just are there times where you just pick up your camera and then say, okay, to hell with it, let me just go and click something, there's something beautiful happening, some event happening, I don't know, so are you a planned guy, or are you just just pick up and just go?
I think really it's a bit of both. There are lots of things that I would do on instinct. Recently we've had Comet Neowise and
Right.
viewings of that. So I've been at godsend hours, in a park, fortunately behind my house, where it's relatively dark, and I've taken a few shots and been out there. If there are any festivals occurring, or if the weather's good, we are entirely weather dependent in the UK. Then
Right.
that's where the instinctive stuff comes into play, Mithun. But for me, the only place to photograph in the world, to be perfectly honest, is India. I
Wow.
absolutely love photographing in India, and I think some people will be very surprised if I honestly tell you, and this is a fact, that I've spent every single holiday dollar of mine for the last 8 years in India. I do not travel anywhere else especially to photograph. I will only ever come to India because I absolutely love all India has to offer.
And we love you back as well, Deepak. So like I mentioned at the start of the conversation, that I have personally traveled with you multiple times. I know a lot of my photographer friends who have been with you on various trips. So I think, yeah, I mean, everybody has a preference. A lot of people, look at certain places to offer, and like we say in India that that one lifetime is less for you to finish off everything in India. So I guess that's very true.
Absolutely. And fortunately, I changed the way I work in the last few years. So for the last 5 years, I plan my work around my photography trips to India. And everything happens with the expectation of Mecca Baunga, when's the next trip back home? Although I have lived here for 40 plus years now, this is not home really. This is somewhere to live. Home is for me where the heart is, and the heart has always been in India. So,
right.
Yeah, yes, you get magnificent architecture in places like Venice. If you want to go and photograph there, you go to Italy, you go to some places in Spain, it's okay. But what we have in India is very, very special, I think. And there is an awful lot left to do and see and enjoy.
Absolutely. And I think you probably are an inspiration for a lot of people here in India who feel, that we need to go west, you need to go, to other places to actually shoot, because, I have completed these many cities, these many places, so now there's nothing more, that's what I normally hear from a lot of people. So I think what you rightly said, that there is such a lot more to experience and to shoot, if you
Oh,
really want to get to.
I absolutely concur with you, Mithun. I mean, when I speak to my friends, let's say my friends in Bangalore, or my friends in Mumbai, or my friends in Baroda or Ahmedabad, I tell them, have you been to Meghalaya? Have you been to Manipur? Have you been to Assam? The answer is no. I said, but you will spend thousands of pounds to go on a trip to Europe or go to America and have your pictures there. And I said, what you are missing really is what's on your doorstep, which is absolutely fabulous. And there is nothing like it in my view. I mean, I have lots and lots of friends here in the UK. I know a lot of people through social media, and most of them have a craving. And my favorite place in the world is Varanasi, and I have so many white friends who just want to be in one place, and that's Banaras all the time. That's all they want to do, because it's the best place in the world. It's got everything.
We should recommend you to become ambassador for India, Deepak.
I would be very delighted to. I mean, I tell people over here, what are you guys doing? Why do you want to, what's wrong with you guys, my friends? And, India is not about, especially my Gujarati relatives here, they will go to, I'll give you a very simple example, and sorry, you can ask me to shut up, Mithun.
No.
I'll just mention one thing. They will say, oh, मैं अहमदाबाद गया था. We've been to Ahmedabad. They'll say to me, and I said, okay, what did you do? Shopping karwa gaya tha. I said, did you really do anything? Did you go to Adalaj Wow, Dada Harir Wow? And it's interesting because on my last trip to Ahmedabad, I got into an auto rickshaw and I said to him, can you take me to Dada Harir Wow? And the auto wala said to me, Saab, tame kya thi na aavo છો? Where are you from? I said, England thi na aવું છું. They કે અહીંયા ના માણસો દાદા હરીર વાવ જોવા ના જાય. We would not go. Nobody here, no local would go to Dada Harir Vav. For me, It's the most magnificent and the most beautiful step. Well, you will see people might go to, Ranki Wow, they might go to Adalat, but nobody goes to. Next time I recommend anybody in Ahmedabad, go there. It's
Absolutely.
beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, there are some real jewels. Like when I went to Karnataka, I went to a place called KRP, Krishna Rajpeet.
Right.
Magnificent temple there. And my driver said, "Ye kidhar hai?" I had to direct the damn guy,
Right.
saying, "Look, it's here. We need to go here." He said, "I've never been."
Right.
And, I mean, what does India not have? I could just go on. So you'll have to ask me to shut up, Mithun.
No, that's fine. Absolutely. Pleasure to hear, about our doorstep, from you, specifically. Great. So Deepak, can you please share some of your achievements, in the field of travel photography?
Mm, very simple. Big no. I have none. I have, as I've already said, I do not enter competitions, nor do I aspire to any recognition or achievements. For me, photography is just a pure form of pleasure and a source of happiness.
Wonderful. And I think, for a lot of people, it's a choice. So I think, if we all start running behind, the rat race everywhere, so I guess, we might end up into only competing and, forgetting what we actually got into photography for. So I think, there's nothing wrong in that, Deepak. But yeah, I mean, there are, of course, there are preferences. A lot of people also want to
Absolutely.
get in, to be acknowledged and to be recognized. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think, you're right, absolutely right. I think, a lot of people that I meet like you do tell me this, and I think, I agree. So that's
Yeah.
great.
I mean, and, each to their own is what I say. For me, it never has been a feature of my life from that point of view.
Right.
And really, just happy doing what I do.
Great. So Deepak, can you tell us, something about, are you part of any photography communities, any Facebook groups that you follow, or anything that, that you are in particularly associated with, especially with respect to travel photography?
Yeah, travel photography. Travel can be on your doorstep. Travel can be, half around the world. Travel can be wherever you want it to be. Really, uh, I'm a member of a nice little local photography group. We eventually filtered out, and now we have a small bunch of guys and girls, and we just like going on outings. We'll go and have a bit of fun. We'll take a few photographs, whether it's a festival, whether it's landscape photography in the Peak District, which is on my doorstep. Luckily, Lake District is a bit too far to go on a day trip, but Peak District is not too far in Derbyshire from where I live. So we'd go there on a long day trip or something like that. We'll go and have a photograph or two, but at the end of it, we all do like to go and have a couple of beers, have a chat, and basically complete the day. And that for me is very important, to have a nice feeling of happiness at the end of the day in whatever you do. In the past, I have tried to be a member of many local photography groups, but excuse my language, but most of the people you meet in those groups, they've got their heads up their asses, if you like. They're really, really highly competitive in their nature, and they're very much into one-upmanship. A bit like, oh, look, mine is better than yours kind of thing, and really it doesn't fit in with my non-competitive nature. So I've dropped out of those groups over as time has progressed.
Great. Okay. So Deepak, do you receive critics for your work as well, and how do you handle them? Especially, this question is very important for aspiring photographers, because there is a lot of people, especially youngsters, who come into wanting to try photography, or they are very good in their fields, but then the moment they hear somebody telling them, oh, you know what, I did not like your photograph, or here there is so much of the composition is wrong, or whatever, so some kind of feedback upsets them, and a lot of people then start getting a little on the other end, they start justifying, so what kind of tips do you have, if you how do you handle them?
Okay, so it's very, very simple for me. I'd just say to the budding photographers, enjoy your time behind the lens. Life is too short. Don't get too hung up. It's not important. Yes, listen to your masters, listen to your seniors, take it away from them. But, you know, always don't get hung up, especially on gear. People will say, oh, मेरे पास ये 2.8 है, मेरे पास वो 2.8 है, ये है, मेरे पास G master है, मेरे पास L series है. Look, guys, I can give you the finest ingredients. You are not going to cook a fine meal for me. My mother would cook from 3 basic ingredients, the finest meal. And I'm saying, honestly, guys, don't get hung up on gas, gear acquisition syndrome. Best advice I can give to the young guys is learn what you have. Make sure you know how to get the most out of the gear you have. It's not important to have the latest and greatest. Really, really, it's try when you are especially doing street work, or especially when you're going to approach somebody and say, I'd like to take a photograph of you. Make sure you know what you are going to get out of that photograph before you even approach them. Right. And think about it. Get the photograph in your mind before you even hold the camera up to take a picture. It really is very important. And let me tell you, understand the rules, learn the rules, but break the rules. You don't have to follow all the rules. You might have to for competition purposes and so on. And I respect that and I understand that, because there has to be a level playing field for those. And it's a hard task for the judges, I am sure. But, just enjoy your time. You will become a better photographer, I promise you. The less hung up you get about rules and about gas. Gas, I believe, today is a big issue. People always want to get together and talk about new gear, new gear, new gear. No, learn what you have. You only got what you've got. Make the most of it.
Right. I think, you touched upon a very, very, delicate point out here, Deepak, because in fact, this is probably, the nth time that I'm hearing, from a lot of people, and a lot of people actually, come down and say, I have got this lens today, I bought this, and they try to show, that see, my 2.8 is better than your 3.5, kind of stuff, which is okay, so you can always have gears. But then I can tell you this from my personal experience as well, Deepak, because as you know, I did my 2 solo exhibitions last year. A lot of people who came, who were novices, they were not even photographers, they were just normal, people in their lives, common people who came down. First and foremost, they got to see, an exhibition quality, prints and exhibition quality, images on their doorstep, in their own cities. But what was more interesting was that people came and said, oh, this picture I also saw, I have also clicked this sunset, but you know what, your lens is better, your camera probably does the trick. So they never wanted to give credit to the photographer, but to the to either the post processing skills, or to the camera. And I had to tell them that I just use a crop sensor body, I don't even use a full frame. So for your information, I don't even use a high-end full frame or a mirrorless to even talk about kind of stuff, and that those things don't matter. And I think that's a very critical input that you mentioned about the gas syndrome. I mean, this is the first time, in fact, I'm hearing it. I'm glad I'm actually sharing this, that you can have tons of equipments deposited into your homes, but if you do not know the right techniques, if you do not do the right things, if you are not ethical when you click, if you do not understand how to give space, privacy, especially when you are into travel, street and all that, even for that matter wildlife and nature, kind of stuff. So I think, irrespective of how many awards or what you win, you will never be an established photographer, for
I
sure.
I absolutely agree, Mithun. And when you are doing street photography, you have to be very mindful of the people you are going to photograph. Yes, some people will stand miles away, use their zoom lenses, and capture images of people. I like the intimacy. I like to develop a relationship with my subject in the first instance, and I don't want them to feel intimidated by me carrying huge gear. And the other part of this also I have noticed is you have a lot of people lugging an awful lot of equipment. I think people need to rationalize and ration what they carry, especially when they do travel photography, because otherwise you just get overwhelmed with the amount of gear you've got, and it becomes a tiring day. If you're out uh, hiking, walking for
Right.
you know, 12 to 17 kilometers, and you will go out there and you want to take some photos, you are so wrecked by the time you've got where you need to be because you are lugging so much gear that you say, I don't feel like doing anything now. The mind basically is not uh, in in synchronism anymore with the body. The body says, look, I've given up. The mind wants to do it. The body says, I cannot deliver. And it becomes a battle. So I think we need to understand, yes, the right gear at the right time, and the best gear is the gear you have with you, not what you've got back at home, what you have on you. So learn to make the most of it, learn what you can do with it, and
Absolutely.
try and try and be happy and satisfied. I get an awful lot of guys who will say, oh, wish I'd brought my other lens with me. It's sat there gathering dust at home. No. Concentrate on what you've got on you, guys. Be happy that you have the opportunity. You are in this wonderful scenario. Be happy.
Right. I 200% agree with that, Deepak. So, so coming to, the current state. So we know that, the digital world is blooming. Technology is there in every aspect of our lives, and naturally into photography as well. Now, what I mean by that is, it's not just on the equipment side, where technology has advanced, right from where we were, a couple of decades back, like you were mentioning, where you started to today, but also probably in terms of, software, accessories, and lots of things, especially artificial intelligence and other things. So what do you think is going to be the future, and what scope will technology play, into photography?
Um, so that's, I think today's photographers really face a huge challenge because one, uh, every day there is something new to look at. Uh, and the availability, it's more within the reach of more people nowadays. Uh, and then you've got all this software for post-processing and so on. And people think, koi baat nahi, I'll take a picture. If the photo's not good, I'll go home and I'll use, Luminar, or I'll use Skylum, I'll use Topaz AI to get rid of noise, and I'll do all these things. So I think the discipline today has changed tremendously. And sadly, I believe that the actual art of photography has been forgotten a lot, Mithun. And we need to bring it back into, as I said earlier, learn what you have and learn it well. And yes, there are many, many distractions. Everybody has a preference when it comes to their equipment, when it comes to their software. And sure, use what you are comfortable with, but use it. Don't get too distracted, because it's very easily done in this day and age. You get lots and lots of forums. with everybody saying, oh yes, which is your favorite lens? What will you take out with you? When you come home, what will be your workflow? How are you going to process it, etc. So I think it's a very confusing field, and it's very challenging for the new guys. All I can say is focus on what you've got, learn what you have well, and then if you want to migrate from one product to another, or one post-processing piece of software to another, if you learn the fundamentals well, then it will bring rewards and you will benefit from it. So
Absolutely.
I think it's a very challenging time for the youngsters these days.
But at the same time, I personally feel, Deepak, that it's
Mm-hmm.
also good that the technology has enabled, not just from an affordability perspective, but also from the perspective of a lot of things that was impossible earlier. Especially, I mean, you need to learn where to stop and where to start. So I think if you can do that, there's no harm in using it, because it makes life convenient as well. So I think,
I absolutely agree with you, but I'll give you a very simple example. People do an awful lot of HDR stuff you see in social media. Frankly, a lot of it looks very cartoony.
right,
Yeah, because what they are trying to do is trying to do it beyond the realms of possibility,
right,
and you can overdo things, you can underdo things. As I say, understand the boundaries.
right,
You keep within the SEMA, the boundary. Always, it's important. Stay within, especially in the landscape and the street field. Try and stay within. I see a lot of guys who will do portrait stuff and they'll submit it on social media, say, what do you think to this processed work? And you look at them sometimes and you say, well, you've overdone something. And when you point it out, sometimes they don't like it. But I will only comment if I get asked for a critique, never otherwise. I'll just
right.
pass by. I'm not interested. But if they ask for it, then I'll give them my constructive comments on it. But you see a lot, I mean, there are so many places, you'll see a lot of panel work done as well, where the first thing you have to do with panel is turn off, if you have image stabilization, you need to turn it off. You have to set your white balance correctly. A lot of people will say, oh, koi baat nahi, tripod pe rakho, ghumao, 4 photo lo aur ghar pe aao and stitch it. No, it looks absurd when you do it that way. But you see a lot of that as well. So it's about learning the subtleties and learning it well. And then, yes, if you've got good HDR processing software or good panel stitching software, then you'll get more out of it.
Absolutely. And I think for the benefit of the viewers, I would like to let everybody know that Deepak is an ardent fan of Fuji cameras. His XT3 that he uses, has a
Two.
XT2. The model that he uses has a beautiful auto pano feature inbuilt into it, and I've seen it personally myself when I've traveled with him. That all that you need is start to end. Just move your
Yeah.
pan your this thing, and the entire software inside the camera stitches it automatically. There's nothing beautiful than what you can get.
Yeah, unfortunately, that doesn't give you a raw file, Mithun. It's JPEG, so it's okay for a quick dirty panel
Right.
to get a feel for the image. But if you really want to do it, then sit back, learn
Right.
how to do it well, and see some good examples of it, and
Absolutely.
then it's happy times.
Great. So what are your future plans, Deepak, with respect to photography? So what do you plan? How do you plan to achieve? So do you want to practice something else as well in addition to travel, or how is it?
I really want to do more street work in India, street photography. There are many places I want to visit in India, Bundi, Orcha, some of the places that are on my wish list.
Right.
And I definitely would like to see those. I'd like to explore some more of the Seven Sisters states as well, and have some happy times there. In terms of actual technical perspective, obviously, I think hopefully you'll have gathered that I'm quite interested in the science
Right.
of the cameras as well, and how the sensor technology develops. And I'm very excited about some of the things that are coming out in the field of signal processing and noise reduction techniques as well, that are used using what is called frame averaging. Because obviously noise is random. The more pictures you take, hopefully, when you bring them all together, you can cancel a lot of the noise out as well, and you get some amazing pictures doing frame averaging. Then there are other techniques that are used as well for shadow recovery and so on. But all that I think will find its way into the kind of cameras we use over time. At the moment, I see a lot of good work that's being done by Phase One in Denmark on these technologies, and I'm a big follower of Phase One and everything they do.
Right. Great. So, so Deepak, do you publish your work on social media platforms? If yes, can you list out your handles and where people can follow you?
Sure, yeah. You can see most of my work. It's all public on Facebook. I'm just simply known as Deepak Samani. That's D-E-E with two E's, Samani, S-A-M-A-N-I. I'm on Instagram as well. Again, Deepak_Samani. I'm on Flickr. Again, Deepak Samani. I feel free to have a look and comment and criticize, guys, please. Some of what I have put out there, and I think social media is a wonderful way of sharing and getting your work out there. And I do it because I just want to share happiness. There is no other motive or purpose behind it.
And I can see that on your face. So, while you're talking, so I think that itself shows, the pleasure that you get. But
Absolutely.
I think Deepak, a sub question to this also would be, the fact that today social media is such an important part of everybody's life. Especially for the newbie photographers, amateur photographers, aspiring photographers, hobbyists. So everybody feels they should put their their pictures online. Whatever they put in, doesn't matter what genre of photography or what is it that they put in. But do you think it's important to highlight your work onto these platforms, whichever it is, doesn't matter which name we take, but do you think it is important to highlight?
I think so, especially if people do have certain aspirations in terms of getting out, getting yourself known, making it a vocation, and evolving it as a business, whether it complements other services you offer or not. I think it's a very useful medium, yes, and it can be complementary to various things. Your photographs can complement travel services that you may offer, or your photography may show the best of your
Right.
your food stuff, or if you are a designer of a fashion designer, if you can do some of that when you're starting out and money is tight, you can complement various disciplines and make them pay should you wish to.
Right, absolutely. And I think as photographers, it is our social and moral responsibility also to to showcase the places that we are in, the like you rightly said, the food, the local culture, a lot of things that you can document and show. It is not necessary that you only show the sadness in a place, or the wrong things that are happening in a place. There are categories in photography which do give you that opportunity, like photojournalism, for example, and other places. But I think as a as a photographer, even if you even if you do wildlife, even if you do macro, even if you do product for that matter, so there is so much to to do to tell people through your stories. I think that's very critical.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, uh, you know, we just need to embrace it all and not exclude these things in our lives. Yes, there is an awful lot of things going on. We currently face this situation globally, but let us see some glimmer of hope, out of outside of it. And at the moment, we just have to make do with what we have on our doorstep. And I've been seeing some wonderful photographs by you from your balcony, Mithun.
Absolutely.
Uh, you know, and these are the things. Now we have chance to do a little bit of what I'm going to call introspection, whether that's within us or on our doorstep. So let's go out and do it and have some fun and not be too disheartened.
Absolutely. And I think you touched a very important point by mentioning my balcony. The reason is, let me tell you this. I'm a travel photographer myself, like you. Uh, 2020, right from March till now, it's been nearly 6 odd months, and I'm sure in next 4 or 5 odd months that is left in this year, there's not going to be any travel. Irrespective of whatever the situation is, how much better it becomes around us. But it gave an opportunity for me, and I'm for a lot of people to do indoors, to stay indoors, to do indoors, because photography is something that will not go out, out of the DNA, out of the blood. So I explored into a lot of indoor stuff, product, still life, which was only a distant dream, and nothing was taught. It was all trial and error. Some things worked very well, some things did not, kind of stuff. And I think so that is a very important lesson for people, that you don't need to always travel, always do things. You don't need to get disappointed. It is natural to feel sad or unhappy that oh, what, my travel plans were to go to Ladakh or Spiti Valley for for taking the trails, but what, I can't go. That's okay. There's always next year. So that
Absolutely.
kind of stuff. So I think that's very critical. Also, to the point, since you mentioned about the balcony, I know I'm getting stuck to the balcony, but then let me tell you this, that I tell this to a lot of people, whether they are photographers or not, that if you observe sunrise and sunset every day, standing at the same point, looking at the same sun which comes and goes around us, around Earth, irrespective of the place that we stay, country, continent, wherever we do, you will find every day it is different. It is absolutely mesmerizing to see the drama that it creates. Every time it is absolutely different.
Yes.
So you need to find time. You cannot be saying you don't have time. Some days yes, but if you really take out, if you really want to enjoy nature, if you really want to enjoy, it's like this, right? When you do street, Deepak, I'm sure you agree that you go to the same place every year, you'll find the street is same, but the people are different.
Absolutely.
In fact, even probably every day, why every
Yeah,
year?
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, if you drill down your example of a sunrise or a sunset, you know, it's evolving and changing in front of your eyes. The nature's painting it for you. You only have to look.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we only have to be mindful and look at it, Mithun. And
That's
I
right.
think a lot of people are just too distracted. Uh, they leave. They leave their eyes and their thoughts at home on other things. Just take a little bit of time out. I'll give you a very simple example. Uh, Once they relaxed the rules here on social distancing, half a dozen of us went for a walk. Yeah, and this lady on the walk, she said, "Oh, Deepak bhai, we have to be back by 5:30 because I need to do X, Y, and Z." I said, "So your mind is only on one thing. You are not enjoying the beauty or making the most of this walk and my company. I have given up my time to be with you,
Right.
but you are now focused on one thing." So I say to people, just take a little bit of time out.
Right.
It's precious. Time is the only thing you will not get back. Other
Right.
things you can try. Khoya hai to paoge. It will come back. Time
Right.
is one thing that will never come back. So make the most of it. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and capture those happy moments. That's important.
Right, right. So whatever makes you happy, you should definitely do that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So last question for you, Deepak,
Bolo.
is, have you heard about Honeycomb Creative Support, that's based out of Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Mumbai, and specifically the Photostop printing brand, that Honeycomb has. Have you used the services? If not, have you heard from anybody? Anything that you want to let us know?
So my contact with Honeycomb has really been through you when you did your exhibition, and I've seen a couple of other exhibitions as well. Uh, I follow a few Indian photographers, and I've seen some pages. And personally, I have not used Honeycomb, but I would definitely want to next time I'm in Bangalore. I'd really like to touch base and understand. Especially what their service offering is in terms of printing, and
Absolutely.
and see where that takes me. And because to find somebody who understands photography, who prints well, uh, the bog standard commercial printers will not faithfully do the work for you. And I really don't print sufficiently to invest in an A3 or an A2 printer at home. But apart from that, really, I have very little exposure to Honeycomb or its subsidiaries.
Absolutely, and let me tell you this: that Deepak, I have been, customer of Honeycomb for more than 5 or 6 years now. Not because I am doing this, I have to tell you this, but then I think you will love them. The reason is they are like you, who believe in relationship, who believe in giving recommendations, and I think in this field of printing, you have a lot of printers. I'm sure in India you have at your side as well, you have so many of them, and most of them are online. You don't even need to personally go and talk to anybody. But I think the USP also is the fact that the subject matter expertise into this is very important. So what looks good, just because Deepak says print it on this, of course I will print if that's your wish. But then if you get a recommendation, what, why don't you try canvas, why don't you try a premium luster, why don't you try this media, or something else. I think that's the critical piece of advice that you get. Choice is of course yours as to how you want to do it, because at the end of the day it's your art, kind of stuff. So I think and I'm sure you are aware that they do ship international as well,
Okay,
so kind of stuff. So you should definitely, next time you be here, you should come down, you should see the facility where it gets printed, and all that. So I'm sure there'll be ample opportunities for you and your fellow photographer friends as well.
absolutely. I'd love to do that, Mithun.
Great. So finally, not to hold you for any more long time.
My
I know.
glass is empty.
Do you want to refill it?
No, no, I'm good.
Great. Uh, I know that you are going to do a webinar on travel photography. You have agreed to share your experiences, your work, with a wider audience. So, do you want to talk about it, Deepak, just before we conclude?
Um, yes, so basically, I think I'm going to be, I'm on with you guys on Saturday, the 22nd, correct, Mithun?
That's right.
From 7 to 8:30 p.m. your time. And I think that's 2:30 to 4 p.m. British Standard Time. And I basically look forward to meeting some more people and forming happy relationships. And I'll try not to upset anybody, I promise.
No, I think all those who are listening, not just because Deepak is known to me, but I will tell you that you will not get disappointed. You will, in fact, be getting, bowled over by his humility, by his work, by the stories, because he's an excellent storyteller. I can guarantee you that. So invest your investment of 90 minutes into the webinar on Saturday, August 22nd is going to be a lifetime experience. I can vouch for that. So please do join us. Please join Deepak and me, in that conversation where you'll get to see his work, and maybe Deepak will share some of tips and tricks for all you aspiring travel photographers as well. So I think it's all in all going to be a beautiful session. Thank you very much, Deepak.
Thank you.
Glad you could take time on a Friday afternoon. I know you were busy, but I still thought let's do it so that we get our folks to hear you out. Your humor as well. So I think all in all, a good time spent.
Okay, and now as a good Jew, I'm going to go and make some handwo. It's time to cook, guys.
Great.
Very important for me. Okay, take care.
Take care. Thank you.
And have a good weekend, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.